أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
The Tashahhud, Ta'awudh and Surah Al-Fatiha. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, the fifth, may Allah be his helper, stated, the expedition I'm going to speak about today is called the expedition of Hazrat Mundhir bin Amr, or the expedition of Bi'r Ma'una. This atrocious incident also took place in the 4th year after Hijrah, that is the migration of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, to Medina. According to some, this expedition took place before the expedition of Raji', and according to others, it took place after the incident of Raji'. Similar to the expedition of Raji', this incident too is a most horrific example of the treachery and brutality of the enemy. This expedition is known as the expedition of Bi'r Ma'una. Bi'r Ma'una was a well en route from Makkah to Medina, in the area of the tribe of Banu Sulaym. And this was also the name of the place. Due to this, it has become known as the expedition of Bi'r Ma'una. Hazrat Mundhir bin Amr was the leader of this expedition, and as such, it is also called the expedition of Hazrat Mundhir bin Amr. Additionally, it is also called Siriyat al-Qura. All companions that set off for the expedition of Bi'r Ma'una were young, and since they were reciters of the Holy Quran, people called them Qura, that is, reciters. In relation to the background of this expedition, Hazrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib writes, these tribes, that is Sulaym and Ghatafan, inhabited the central region of Arabia in the Sath-e Murtafa, Najd, and had allied with the Quraysh of Makkah against the Muslims. Slowly but surely, the evil of these mischievous tribes was continuing to grow, and the Sath-e Murtafa Najd was continuing to be poisoned with the venom of enmity against Islam. As such, in the days we are describing now, an individual named Abu Bara Amiri, who was the chieftain of the tribe situated in the central Arabia known as the Banu Amir, presented himself before the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in order to meet him. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, very gently and kindly conveyed the message of Islam to him. And at the outset, he also listened to the address of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, with interest and attention, but did not accept Islam. Albeit he submitted to the Holy Prophet, send a few companions along with me to Najd, who can travel there and preach the message of Islam to the people of Najd. I am confident that the people of Najd will not reject your message. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, I do not trust the people of Najd. Abu Bara responded, do not worry, I guarantee their security. Since Abu Bara was the chief of a tribe and was an influential man, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, took his word and dispatched a party of companions towards Najd. This is the narration as it is related by history. It is narrated in Bukhari that a few people from the tribes of Ril and Dhakwan, etc., which were branches of the renowned tribe known as the Banu Sulaym, presented themselves before the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and claimed to accept Islam. Then they requested that a few men should be dispatched along with them to assist them against those people of their nation who were enemies of Islam. There is no elaboration as to the nature of the assistance they requested, missionary or military. Upon this, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, sent off this company. However, unfortunately, with respect to the details of Bi'r Ma'una, even the details as narrated in Bukhari have become mixed to a degree, due to which all the relevant facts cannot be identified in full. In any case, however, what is ascertained for certain is that on this occasion the people belonging to the tribes of Ril and Dhakwan, etc., presented themselves before the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, as well, and they requested for a few companions to be sent along with them. One prospect for the reconciliation of both these narrations is that perhaps Abu Bara Amiri, chieftain of the Amir tribe, also came along with the people of Ril and Dhakwan, and he spoke to the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, on their behalf. As such, according to the historical account, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "I do not trust the people of Najd." To which he responded, "Do not worry. I give you the assurance that your companions shall not be harmed." This indicates that the people of Ril and Dhakwan had also come with Abu Bara, and the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was concerned on their account. Wallahu alam, and Allah knows best. In any case, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, dispatched a party of companions under the leadership of Mundhir bin Amr Ansari in Safar 4 after Hijrah. These people were mostly from the Ansar and totaled 70 in number, and almost all of them were Qaris, i.e., those well versed in the Holy Quran. In relation to this, one author writes that at every moment the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, solely desired for the religion of Allah to prevail over the world, that everyone would come under the fold of Islam, and that they would become servants of the one God, so that they would prosper in this world and in the hereafter. For this very reason, he placed great importance on the duty of propagating and preaching the religion. For this purpose, he did not hesitate to utilize every means and making even the greatest of sacrifices. This is why, despite sensing danger from the immoral and rural inhabitants of Najd, he placed his trust in Allah, and on the reassurance of Abu Bara, he dispatched a large group of companions towards him, that is, his people. He merely took these measures in order to fulfill the duty of propagating and preaching Islam, and in order to advance the blessed task of spreading and disseminating the message of Islam. In any case, Hazrat Mundhir bin Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, commander of the army, departed alongside Muttalib Sulami, the guide of Banu Sulaim. When they reached Bi'r Ma'una, they pitched up their tents and left their mounts to graze under the supervision of Hazrat Amr bin Umayyah Damri. Accompanying him was Harith bin Simma. Ibn Hisham has written that it was Mundhir bin Muhammad rather than Harith. In relation to this expedition, there is mention of a letter that the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, wrote to Amir bin Tufail. The details of this are that the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, handed a letter addressed to Amir bin Tufail to a group of the companions. He was the nephew of Abu Bara Amir bin Malik and one of the most arrogant and haughty chieftains of Banu Amir. His story goes that he recognized the truthfulness of the Holy Prophet's claim in his heart, and he knew full well that the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, would soon triumph and attain control over the entire Arab lands. But meanwhile, he was dreaming of his own governance. Satanic thoughts began to spring in his mind as to why he shouldn't himself go before this to make a deal with the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He therefore went to him and said, I give you the choice of you ruling over the Bedouins and me over the city dwellers, or that I become your successor and vice-gerent after you. Otherwise, I shall fight you with an army of 1,000 red and golden horses and 1,000 camels of Ghatafan. He presented 3 conditions. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, rejected these ignorant demands of Amr bin Tufail. He didn't accept any of it, so he returned unsuccessful. In light of the incident of Bi'r Ma'una, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, deemed it appropriate to invite him towards Islam. Hence, he sent some companions with a letter specifically addressed to him. The leader of the army, Hazrat Mundhir bin Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, handed the letter of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, to Hazrat Haram bin Milhan, may Allah be pleased with him, and sent him to Amr bin Tufail, chief of the Banu Amr tribe. It is recorded in relation to Hazrat Haram bin Milhan's taking of this letter that he brought 2 companions with him, one of whom had a limp in his leg. His name was Ka'b bin Zayd. Whilst the majority of biographers have made no mention of the other companion's name, nevertheless, under the chapter of the expedition of Raji' in Fath al-Bari, a commentary of Sahih al-Bukhari, it is written in the details of this incident that the other companion's name was Mundhir bin Muhammad. In any case, the 3 of them set off. Hazrat Haram had instructed his 2 companions from the beginning, remain close to me, I shall go to him. If he grants me security, then all is well. But if I am killed, then both of you must return to your companions. Thereafter, he went fearlessly to the enemy of Allah, Amr bin Tufail, who was sitting with some people of the Banu Amr tribe. Haram addressed them all, saying, Do you grant me security if I convey to you the letter of the Messenger of Allah? They said, Yes, we give you safe refuge. Haram began to speak with them. Musa bin Uqba narrates that Haram was about to read out the letter of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. It is mentioned in Tariq al-Tabari that Haram addressed those people and said, O people of Bi'r Ma'una, I have come to you as a messenger of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. I swear that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his servant and messenger. You ought to believe in Allah and his messenger. This blessed dialogue of Haram was happening when the people present there exposed their corrupted interiors. They gestured to one of their men, who quickly stood behind Haram's back and attacked him with a spear, which went through his body. It is stated in another narration that Haram took the letter and went to Amr bin Tufail, but this despot did not even read the letter and attacked him, thus martyring him. Nonetheless, when quite some time had passed and Haram did not return, the Muslims went looking for him. After going forward, they came face to face with a battalion which was coming to attack them. They surrounded the Muslims. The enemies outnumbered them. The battle ensued, and the companions of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, were martyred. Mention of the martyrdom of Hazrat Amr bin Fuhaira in this expedition is found in such terms. He was the freed slave of Hazrat Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him. He also had the distinct honor of migrating alongside the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and Hazrat Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, to Medina. He was also martyred during Bi'r Ma'una, when they were attacked there. When Hazrat Amr bin Umayyah Damri was captured, Amr bin Tufail asked them who this was. Indicating to a person killed, Amr bin Umayyah responded that this is Amir bin Fuhaira. Amir bin Tufail said, I saw Amir bin Fuhaira after he was martyred. His body was raised towards the sky. He witnessed this when he was not yet a Muslim. He was raised to the extent that I saw that he was between the heavens and the earth. Then he was placed down on the ground. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, received this news, and the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, told the companions about their having been martyred, and said, Your brothers have been martyred. And they prayed to their Lord, Tell our brothers regarding us that we were pleased with you, and you were pleased with us. Thus Allah Almighty told them regarding this. This is a narration of Sahih al-Bukhari. There is disagreement about who martyred Hazrat Amir bin Fuhaira, may Allah be pleased with him. Some narrations state that Amir bin Tufail martyred him, whereas another narration tells us that Jabbar bin Salama martyred him. Mentioning the incident of Hazrat Amir bin Fuhaira getting martyred, as a Muslim Maud writes, Thus, Islam did not flourish by the sword. Rather, it did so through the high moral teachings which penetrated the hearts and caused a tremendous change in the morals of the people. One companion said that the reason he accepted Islam was that he was a guest among those people who treacherously martyred the 70 Qaris. These were Huffaz who had memorized the entire Holy Quran. When they launched an attack on the Muslims, some of them had climbed a hilltop, whilst others stood ready to combat. As the enemies far outnumbered the Muslims, who were unarmed and defenseless, they overpowered the Muslims, killing them one by one. In the end, only one companion remained, who had accompanied the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in the migration, and was the freed slave of Hazrat Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, whose name was Amir bin Fuhaira, may Allah be pleased with him. It took many of the enemies to bring him down, and one of them thrusted a spear through his chest. As the spear penetrated, he spontaneously uttered the words, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba. I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba, I have prospered. The person narrating this incident was not a Muslim at the time. He narrates, When I heard these words being uttered, I was left astonished. I thought to myself, this man is far from his wife, his children, and is in such an ordeal where a spear has been thrust through his chest. Yet as he was dying, the only thing he uttered was, I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba, I have prospered. Is this person not a madman? Hence, I asked others why he had spoken such words. They replied, Little do you know that these Muslims are indeed mad. When they die in the way of Allah Almighty, they believe God is pleased with them and they have obtained their goal. He says, This had such a profound effect on me that I decided to go and see their headquarters to study their religion for myself. Therefore, I reached Medina, and upon hearing about his teachings, I accepted Islam. These companions stated regarding this incident that a man was killed with a spear in this incident. He was far from his hometown and relatives, yet the words that flowed from his tongue were, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba. I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba, I have prospered. This had a profound effect on that individual, that whenever he related the incident, all of a sudden his body would tremble and his eyes would flow with tears when he would reach the part where the words, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba, I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba, I have prospered, were uttered. Hence, as a Muslim, may Allah be pleased with him, writes that Islam spread due to its beauties, not by force. At the time of Hazrat Amir bin Fuhaira's martyrdom, both statements, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba and Fuztu Wallah are reported in the narrations. These words were uttered by other companions as well. In relation to this, Hazrat Muslim Maud, may Allah be pleased with him, states, upon studying history, we learn that the companions would go into war as though their martyrdom would bring them peace and contentment. If they were inflicted any pain during war, they perceived it to be a means of comfort and not pain. Thus, throughout historical accounts, we find countless examples wherein it shows that the companions deemed being killed in the way of Allah to be a source of contentment for them. For example, the Huffaz, those who have memorized the Holy Quran, who were sent to a tribe towards Central Arabia for the purpose of propagating Islam. Among them was Haram bin Milhan. When he went to meet Amir bin Tufail, the leader of the Amir tribe, the rest of the delegation remained behind. Initially, Amir bin Tufail and his tribesmen openly welcomed him out of hypocrisy. However, as soon as he sat down and became comfortable and began preaching about Islam, a wretched individual indicated to his comrade, and an individual attacked Haram bin Milhan from the back with a spear, causing him to fall. As he fell, the following words were on his lips: Allahu Akbar, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba, i.e., by the Lord of the Kaaba I have attained salvation. Then these evil individuals surrounded the remaining companions and attacked them. Amir bin Fuhaira, the freed slave of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, who was with the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, during the migration, was also among this group of companions. In fact, his killer, who later accepted Islam, stated the reason he accepted Islam was that at the time he killed Amir bin Fuhaira, Amir spontaneously said, Fuztu Wallah, i.e., by God I have attained my objective. These incidents prove that instead of being a source of sorrow for the companions, death was a source of happiness. Jabbar bin Salama, the person who martyred Amir bin Fuhaira, later accepted Islam. He states, the thing that drew me towards Islam was that on the day of Bi'r Ma'una, I aimed a spear and threw it between the shoulders of Amir bin Fuhaira. I saw the tip of the spear protrude from his chest. Straight after this, I heard him say, Fuztu Wallah, by Allah I have succeeded. These words fell on my ears and became etched on my heart. I began to ponder over what these words meant. What sort of success had he attained? For I had just killed him. With this confusion in mind, I went to see a Muslim by the name Dahaq bin Sufyan Kalbi. I narrated to him the entire incident and inquired about the meaning of these words. He told me that this success referred to attaining paradise. Upon hearing this, I said, by God, he truly did succeed. He invited me to accept Islam, and so I accepted Islam. With regards to the expedition of Bi'r Ma'una, Hazrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib, may Allah be pleased with him, writes, when these people reached a place known as Bi'r Ma'una, which was named as such due to a water well, an individual named Haram bin Milhan, who was the maternal uncle of Anas bin Malik, went forward with the message of Islam to Amir bin Tufail, who was the chief of the Amir tribe and paternal nephew of Abu Bara Amiri. The rest of the companions remained behind. When Haram bin Milhan arrived to meet Amir bin Tufail and his followers as an emissary of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, at first they warmly welcomed him in their hypocrisy. But after he had been fully seated and made to feel at ease, i.e., when Amir bin Milhan was at ease and began to preach the message of Islam, a few evil ones from among them made a signal to someone who struck this innocent emissary with a spear from behind and put him to death there and then. At the time, the following words were on the tongue of Haram bin Milhan: Allahu Akbar, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba, i.e., Allah is the greatest, by the Lord of the Kaaba I have attained my objective. Amr bin Tufail did not suffice upon the murder of this emissary of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him alone. As a matter of fact, after this, he incited the people of his tribe, the Banu Amir, to attack the remaining party of Muslims as well. But they refused and said they would not attack the Muslims due to the guarantee of Abu Bara. Upon this, Amir collected the Banu Rail, Dhakwan, and Usayya, etc., from the tribe of Sulaim, i.e., the same tribes who had come to the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, as a delegation according to the narration of Bukhari, and attacked this small and helpless community of Muslims. When the Muslims saw these bloodthirsty beasts racing towards them, they said, "We have no quarrel with you. We have only come with an assignment from the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. We have not come to fight." But they did not listen to a word and murdered them all. This has always been the way of the cruel and unjust. With regards to the martyrs of Bir Ma'una, it is written, "Those who have written about the battles in the life of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, unanimously agree that in this expedition, aside from Hazrat Amr bin Umayyah Damri and Ka'b bin Zayd, all the companions were martyred. Hazrat Ka'b bin Zayd was injured on the day of Bir Ma'una and passed in the battle of the ditch. And Hazrat Amr bin Umayyah passed away in the reign of Muawiyah. The names of all the companions who went for this expedition are not mentioned in the books of history and biographies. However, of the companions that were murdered, they have recorded the names of approximately 29. When this is published in book form, the names can be recorded there. I will not mention them now. There are 29 names, and so it is a long list. Amongst the companions who partook in this expedition, 2 persons separated from the group to graze their camels, namely Hazrat Amr bin Umayyah Damri and Hazrat Mundhir bin Muhammad, or according to some historians, Harith bin Simma instead of Mundhir. They glanced toward their encampment from far away and saw flocks of birds flying in the air. They understood these desert signs well. They immediately discerned that a battle is taking place. When they returned, they were a witness to the bloodshed caused by the cruel disbelievers. Upon seeing this unfold from far away, the 2 consulted with one another about their course of action. One of them said, "We should flee from here immediately to Medina to inform the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him." However, the other disagreed and said, "I will not flee from the place where our commander Mundhir bin Amr was martyred." Thus, he forged on, fought, and was martyred. This was mentioned in the life and character of the Seal of Prophets. Apart from Hazrat Amr bin Umayyah Damri, another companion who was lame also survived. His name was Ka'b bin Zayd. Some narrations suggest that the disbelievers even attacked him. He was accompanying Hazrat Haram bin Milhan when he was severely wounded and the disbelievers left him, thinking him to be dead. However, despite being brutally wounded, there was still life left in him. He was saved from amongst the bodies of the companions and lived until he attained martyrdom during the battle of the ditch. Regarding the capture of Hazrat Amr bin Umayyah, it is recorded that upon his capture, he was asked about his tribe, to which he replied that he belonged to the Banu Mudar. Upon this, Amr bin Tufail grabbed him and cut the hair covering his forehead. Following this, he freed him on behalf of his mother, who had taken an oath to free a slave. When the Arabs would make captives, they would cut the hair from the forehead of those whom they decided to free and grant favor. Thereafter, Amr bin Umayyah departed from there until he reached a shaded place where he rested. At the same time, two other persons came there and joined Hazrat Amr. Amr inquired as to who they were, to which they replied that they belonged to the Banu Amir. According to another narration, they claimed to be from the Banu Sulaim. Both of them had made a pact with the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, that he would grant them protection. However, Amr bin Umayyah was unaware of this agreement. Amr waited for them to fall asleep. When they fell asleep, Amr killed them both. At the time, he was only thinking that by killing them, he had avenged the companions that had been martyred by the Banu Amir. Following this, when he came before the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and informed him about what had happened and about the killing of the two individuals, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "You have killed two such people for whom we must pay blood money." Thus, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, paid their blood money. Then, regarding the massacre of the companions, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "This has been perpetrated by Abu Bara. It is for this reason that I was not content with sending my companions with him. I had doubts that these tribes may cause harm to the companions." Hazrat Abu Bara was very grieved when he learned that his nephew Amr bin Tufail breached his protection and security, and he was also grieved by the result that this had on the companions of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Hence, Abu Bara's son Rabi'a attacked Amr bin Tufail, who was his cousin. Rabi'a struck Amr with a spear, which pierced his thigh, causing him to fall from his horse. Amr shouted out and said, "If I die, then Abu Bara is responsible for my blood, and if I survive, then I will see to my own affairs." Amr bin Tufail remained alive after this attack. It was the prayers of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, that reached him, causing him to be afflicted by the plague, resulting in him dying while still in a state of disbelief. In any case, Abu Bara was also party to this. He should have come at the start and stopped them. As far as Abu Bara or Amr bin Malik is concerned, there are both types of narrations. Some scholars have regarded him as a companion. For example, according to one narration, Abu Bara Amr bin Malik, along with 25 people from the Banu Bakr and Banu Jafar tribes, went to the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and he appointed Amr bin Malik and the Haq bin Sufyan Kilabi as governors over Banu Bakr and Banu Jafar. This narration shows that he later went on to become a Muslim, whereas according to some narrations, Abu Bara did not become a Muslim. In any case, there are two types of narrations. Hazrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad, may Allah be pleased with him, writes in this regard, "The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and his companions received news of the incidents of Raji and Bi'r Ma'una at more or less the same time. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was deeply grieved by these incidents, to the extent that narrations relate that the Holy Prophet was never so deeply grieved by anything before or after these events. Undoubtedly, for approximately 80 companions to be suddenly murdered by deception, especially such companions who were huffaz of the Holy Quran and were from a poor and selfless class of people, was no small event, even by standards of the barbaric customs and practice of Arabia. For the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him personally, this news was no different than the loss of 80 sons, rather even more so. The reason being that for a spiritual man, spiritual bonds are far dearer to him than the worldly relations of a worldly man. Hence, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was deeply grieved by these tragic events. But in any case, Islam teaches patience. Upon hearing this news, the Holy Prophet said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Verily to Allah we belong, and to him shall we return." After this, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said the following words, "This is a result of the actions of Abu Bara, for I had disliked sending off these people and was apprehensive of the people of Najd." The incidents of Bi'r Ma'una and Raji demonstrate the intense level of hatred and animosity which the tribes of Arabia harbored in their hearts against Islam and the followers of Islam, to the extent that they would not even refrain from the most despicable lies, treachery, and deceit. Despite the remarkable intelligence and vigilance of the Muslims, due to their thinking well of others, which is a hallmark of a believer, At times they would be lured into their trap. These were Huffaz of the Quran and devoted worshippers who would supplicate during the night, sit in a corner of the mosque and remember Allah. Then they were poor and hunger-stricken people who were lured out of their homeland by these cruel disbelievers with the excuse of teaching them religion. And when they had reached their land as guests, they were murdered in cold blood. Any level of grief suffered by the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, would not have been enough. But at the time, the Holy Prophet did not employ any military action against these cold-blooded murders. After the incidents of Raji and Bi'r Ma'una, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, did qanut in his prayers for 1 month. According to one narration, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, received the painful news of Bi'r Ma'una and Raji in the same night. In both incidents, the companions were killed as the result of deceit and treachery. There were only 10 companions in the Raji, whereas there were 70 companions in the expedition of Bi'r Ma'una, out of which only 2 survived. Hence, the deep pain and anguish felt by the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, upon the incident of Bi'r Ma'una can be understood from the narration which Hazrat Anas states, I have never seen the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, as troubled as he was upon the martyrs of Bi'r Ma'una. For an entire month, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, did qanut during Fajr, that is the prayer offered right before dawn, in which he cursed the Ri'l, Dhakwan and Banu Lahyan. Hazrat Anas bin Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, narrates that the Holy Prophet prayed against the Ri'l and Dhakwan tribes for a month. The words of this prayer are recorded in Sahih Muslim as well. O Allah, send your curse upon Ri'l, Dhakwan and upon Usayya, who disobeyed Allah and His Messenger. May Allah the Almighty have mercy on the Ghifar tribe, and may Allah keep the Aslam tribe safe. Whilst mentioning the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, receiving the news of Raji and Bi'r Ma'una, Hazrat Mirza Bashir Ahmed, may Allah be pleased with him, writes, for 30 days continuously, after having received this news, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, supplicated while standing in his morning salat, weeping and crying before God, individually naming the tribes of Ri'l, Dhakwan, Usayya and the Banu Lahyan in the following words, O our Master, have mercy upon us and hold back the hands of the enemies of Islam, who are ruthlessly and stone-heartedly spilling the blood of innocent Muslims with the intention that your religion may be expunged. This was the incident of the expedition of Bi'r Ma'una. I continuously draw attention towards praying for the people of Palestine who are being oppressed. May Allah the Almighty swiftly create the means for the oppressors to be seized. These innocent people are being killed just as their companions were. They were being deceived by being sent to one place and then another. And then ultimately those very places got bombed. May Allah the Almighty bestow His mercy. Also pray for the general condition of the world, for they are hurtling towards great destruction, and signs of war continue to increase. May Allah the Almighty protect Ahmadis around the world from the harmful impacts of the war and its evils. Also, particularly pray for the Ahmadis living in Pakistan. The conditions for them these days are once again becoming increasingly difficult. May Allah the Almighty show mercy and liberate them from their oppressors.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر